It had to be included in the top 40 herbs because it is an herb that just pops up whenever nutrients are needed. It's like the Mary Poppins plant. It is a plant that just literally, it's a little prickly on the outside. It sometimes isn't as attractive as maybe other plants, but it comes in, it does the job, it takes care of things. It is one of those that is a stimulant type plant. It gets things going, gets things moving, and gets breath and air into the body. It brings oxygen into the lungs and livening the nervous system so that it pops up and pops awake. This is a plant that we have used in my family my whole life. In fact, this is my mom's old can from at least 30 years ago and we have just continued to use it. Actually, she continued to use it, and I stole it from her because it talks to me about the history of this plant and how important it has been in our life as a family. It is one herb that my mom has used probably weekly, if not daily, for ever since I have known. It is one plant that was passed down from our pioneer heritage. It's called Brigham Tea because Brigham Young was reported to say that every saint needs to know how to use this particular herb. It's full of nutrients, and we'll talk about that later on, but it was a plant that grew up where almost nothing would grow and provided vitamin C and nutrients to those pioneers crossing the plains. And with that, it was passed down from my grandmother onto my mom, and it makes a beautiful rosy color tea when you make a tea out of it, and it's these green sticks, and they are just these sticks. There are no leaves or anything with it, and it seems like, gosh, what could you get out of this? You could get lots out of this. As a matter of fact, I was in a class teaching a gal, and a Native American friend of mine said, you know, there's a plant that looks just like that we use, but we use the roots, and we boil them on the stove whenever we're sick, and you can get over anything with it. Like, it helps whenever they're sick. It helps feed the body back, get the body back to normal. And we have never used the roots of this plant. And she went back to her family and started talking to them about it, and we identified this as being the squaw plant, or Brigham tea, squaw tea. And because where do you think the pioneers found out about the nourishment of this plant? The Native Americans told them about this plant and the uses, and it really did in so many cases save their life. But it has an ephedra type effect to it that helps to liven up and bring strength back to the body. But we'll kind of talk about the difference. It is a difference between Ma Hung and Brigham tea or Mormon tea. I call it usually Brigham tea because that just is what comes out of my mouth. I know that technically when you look it up, you're probably going to look up squaw tea or Mormon tea or even Brigham tea. So it goes by all of those things, and every book calls it something different. So this is a plant that the climate is very, very arid, and it loves a sunny climate. This plant goes really deep into rocky soil. It's a sister plant to the Chinese ma hung, but about probably a tenth of the amount of ephedra type effects that it has in it. It's a pretty good tasting tea. It is not delicious, but it is something that you kind of get used to, and it's very pleasant. If your tea is very bitter, you've boiled it, and this plant becomes very, very bitter, and so you need to bring that back a little bit. It should be a pleasant kind of tasting tea. Or if you harvested it too young and too green, it becomes very bitter. But that becomes a stomach aid. When you take the plant when it's green, it is very, very bitter, and so the body will assimilate it very well, and it helps with intestinal things in the greener parts of the plant. Are very, very green. You kind of want the in-between, kind of the gray ones, not the ones that have gone brown that are twigs, because those are bitter too. Even though they all have medicinal properties, what you want is that middle kind of color. And when you store it, you want to store it in paper bags or in boxes, not in plastic. I keep it in this little tin right here, or in jars, but I never put it in jars unless I know that it's completely dry. Like this is completely dry. It's been harvested a couple of years ago, and it won't grow any mold, so I could actually put that in a plastic if I wanted to, but that's not the best way to keep your herbs. So just make sure you keep this one. It will, even though it doesn't look like it will mold, it will mold. old and get yucky. So the best, I just take an old grocery bag and just stick it in there, a paper grocery bag, and stick it in there. And I'll even stick it in my garage or stick it someplace after I'd harvest it to let it dry out in that bag for a while before I do anything with it, unless I need it right away, of course, to use it. The Native Americans, they used the seeds and they ate the whole plant. They would grind it up for a tonic. They used it for back aches and for a natural blood purifier. They definitely used it as a cough type of a medicine, and even the Hopi Indians used it for syphilis. The Paiute used it as a tea to normalize the kidney and bladder disorders that plagued them. This was passed down from my grandmother. I mean, we passed down from generation to generation. My mom drinks it. She would make it all the time for us. And I really do think that was her little natural energy boost as running around 6 kids, and all of us had friends or foster kids or whatever hanging out. My mom had a lot of energy, and I think this helped her. I mean, we always say my mom's like an Energizer bunny, and she surely is. But when she starts to have lung issues or lung problems go on with her, she turns to this. Or if she needs to rejuvenate her body or doesn't feel well, she turns to the Brigham Tea, because it always seems that she has a pot in the fridge or a pot in the coffee maker. One of the best ways is to take these twigs and shove it full, their whole pot full, and then my mom will pour it in and let the coffee maker just run water on it. And she keeps running, because when you pour the coffee, the liquid out, the twigs just stay in the pot. So she just dumps it out, and when it starts to run clear and isn't pink anymore, then she knows she's gotten all the goodness she can out of it, and she throws the twigs away, or leaves or stems away, and then she goes on to making new. But you can reuse it, run 4 or 5 pots right through it. It is a plant that doesn't have any cautions associated with this particular plant. This plant is a sister plant to mahang, and some people get really concerned about that because the FDA ruled in 2004 that prohibits the sale of mahang in the United States, which is a shame because they've been using it freely for 3,000 years effectively. But why did they do that? Why would they prohibit the sale of that incredible herb? Well, quite frankly, I believe it is because we misused it. We cannot expect to take these powerful herbs, put them with chemicals, and expect them not to have an effect that would drive the chemical into the body. You cannot mix fillers, flowing agents, synthetic caffeine. Some of the kids and people who had problems with mahang had energy pills that had incredible flowing agents and toxins in them that lower the immune system for 24 hours, some of the studies show. Also, they had synthetic caffeine. You know how sharp the molecule of synthetic caffeine is? It drives in. So you've got the caffeine that makes things go, and then you've got the mahang that's trying to balance stuff out. No wonder kids were dropping dead on the field. Then there were only like 6 or 7 situations of that, but nobody looked at anything else. They only looked at ephedrine, which is a chemical version of ephedra, which comes from mahang. We have to look at the whole plant. It's like outlying comfrey, because some of the alkaloids that were taken from the plant were extracted in high doses into mice, and they got liver failure. But yet when they did the same thing with the whole plant, they didn't have the same results. The mice didn't die. So where's the disconnect? Comfrey's still illegal to ingest in the U.S. So's mahang. So's mahang. And guess what? We have a lot of lung issues in this country, and we could use that plant. But in the meantime, nature gives us more. An incredible alternative. This Brigham Tea doesn't need to be overlooked as far as a powerful alternative. We need to help use these herbs in wonderful, effective ways so these silly rulings that happen that prohibit the use of these life-giving plants stop happening. So how does this plant survive? How is this, what's the reputation? Why is this passed down from generation to generation? Why? Because it's so full of nutrients. Lots of vitamin C, lots of things that are very astringent in the body. It's got phosphorus, it's got ephedrine in it, natural ephedrine. It's got pseudoephedrine. It's got resins. It's the natural tannins, and tannins are very contracting and get things to settle down. Sometimes in our environment we have like candida type bodies where we're sloshy and we're wet and we're moist and we're blah, blah, and we got to get the body to slough off some of that excess stuff that's happening. This is one of those herbs that kind of is like that natural diuretic that kind of helps slough off extra stuff in the body. It gives a mild adrenaline type activity, but not so much to cause adrenaline exhaustion, because that is a big thing by using lots of synthetic type of stimulants, even non-synthetic sometimes, and so it is a real issue, but it lifts that up a little bit. It can help the heart. It's been known to help heart muscles, increase the strength there, helps with circulation into the extremities, getting blood flow to the feet and hands. Brigham Tea needs to be known for its properties for lungs and for the respiratory system, helping the body to normalize and help the body. This plant helps you take a breath, helps you breathe, kind of like mullein, but actually opens it up and like helps you get balance with your lungs. It can help the body normalize blood pressure. It can also help stimulate the brain and the nerves for quicker thinking and for vibrant health. It can help reduce fatigue and weariness, and really helps restore vitality and lets you like really go in and get a breath of air, because it's opening up your lungs, increasing that depth of oxygen, just like going in deep. It's what we call oxygen uptake. Some herbs like mullein and Brigham Tea and cordyceps, lobelia, those are like automatic oxygen uptake. Helps your body take a breath of air by dilating those bronchioles, by supporting the body so the body actually dilates the bronchioles, can calm those spasms down, and actually can help with chronic asthma and decongestion, and like a spectrum type herb that can help clear things out, and sinusitis symptoms that just hang on. And my mom used to use it for hay fever and for wheezing. The pioneers used it for whooping cough, and very, very effectively, along with another incredible lung herb, which is wild lettuce. They used it for colds and flus and fevers, even bee stings and snake bites. They would take a tea of this and dip the cloth and put it on wounded parts of the body and anything that had any type of allergic reaction, because this is like a natural type of histamine type thing. It affects the central nervous system in helping the body give energy to every part of the body, even the extremities. So it can help calm down numbness and settle down the mind, and it can actually settle down mental energy. Different than caffeine, though. That's why people were putting caffeine with it, because it helped the mental focus, and the caffeine would drive you, and people loved it. But I believe it was misuse of that incredible herb, mahang. This is one that can be used for depression, and is known to be used as sleeping disorders. Well, how could something that is known to be a stimulant help you with sleeping disorders? Well, it can help the body settle down nervous energy in the brain in the daytime, and at nighttime your body's not so worn out and can settle and sleep. This is well known for headache. If I have a headache, this is one of the herbs that I definitely go for. One of the things that Brigham Tea or mahang type plants are famous for is helping the metabolism charge it up, helping to get it going. So it's something that you would use to help you get your body going, your metabolism going, and warming up the body, but maybe not something you use forever, the rest of your life, every day. Like the mahang might be too much for your body. You kind of would have to balance that. But Brigham Tea has much less of it in it, and I know from personal experience that my mom has spent a lot of her life on Brigham Tea and helping to warm up the body and increase her metabolism, but helping with some of the effects associated with, some of the allergy issues that she's had. It's just been her friend for a long, long time. It's one that's used for athletic performance and enhancement. It's been used there, and also as a natural diuretic. For sure, it has that pseudoephedrine that helps has that astringent property, so it settles down swelling in the body and settles down anything like that. My mom used to have a lot of swelling, and I bet you that's one of the reasons she loves this plant, because it could just settle that down. It is a gentle blood purifier, and I guess that would qualify it as how I would quantify this as a blood purifier. not like chaparral because it's not as strong as chaparral. It's much more gentle, much more more easily assimilated by weaker people and stronger people in small amounts. I mean, even large amounts. I mean, my mom used to make pots and pots of it. We used to drink a lot of this tea, and it was something that made us strong and made us focus, and it was good for us, and she knew it had high amounts of nutrients in it. It can make you a little nervous or restless if you do way too much of it, large concentrations of it, which I don't even know how much that large concentration would be, because my mom used to do 2 or 3 cups a day at least of it. But I can't really do it before bedtime because it gives me energy. Some people say, oh, you do it before energy and it settles down the brain, but for me, boy, I just want to get going. So I can do it in the morning. It's been used. This type of herb has been used for thousands and thousands of years and passed down from Native Americans, used in its natural state of whole or infused with, like, made tinctures or used as a powder or as a tea, using it in a way that it gives you back the strength and nourishment that you need in your body by respecting this incredible herb. Let's not put it with toxins and mix it with other things to make diet formulas. Let's just use the plant as it is, mix it with other supportive plants to help your body be strong and vibrant, just like this plant, incredibly strong and vibrant.